they met that mercy with betrayal. Now, they will feel my wrath.
With The Dark Below, we introduced Eris Morn, the character that introduces you to all the story content and is basically your narrator throughout. So as players, we at Bungie, when we were taking a look at that, we thought there was a lot to love about Eris and about the way that we presented story through her. So what we wanted to do with House of Wolves was evolve that, was to take the next step. So we introduced a brand new social space, The Reef, which includes not just one character, but a set of new characters. So we have Petra Venge, who is the Queen's Guard, and Varix, who is a Fallen, who is still loyal to the Queen. And there's also Brother Vance, who serves Osiris and is the vendor for the Trials of Osiris. So the characters actually help flesh out the story quite a bit. We've got Petra telling the story of the Awoken, we've got Varix telling the story of the Fallen, and as you go through the story content, they talk back and forth. So it provides a really interesting way to flesh out the universe. You've got Varix, who can actually speak Fallen, so when you encounter enemies or bosses and they're chattering at you, he'll actually translate for you.
Tanix has called you out, Guardian. You are challenged in the ways of old.
And then we have Petra, who's talking about the Reef and about the Queen's agenda and about how she fits into that. And then sort of as they banter back and forth, you really get a sense of the larger world. New story content is spread across all the destinations and includes a whole bunch of new space that we haven't seen before, with some amazing art, some cool gameplay twists. We'll also go to some spaces that story content players are not familiar with that allow us to do some sort of unique gameplay elements that story players haven't seen before. With the Prison of Elders, we wanted to make sure that we made an activity type that was accessible to the broadest array of players as possible. So there's a match-made version at level 28, which is randomized. So in the match-made version, as you play, you sort of start in this central airlock, and there are doors, 4 doors that are all around you, and they open one after another. And as you go into each one of them, you get into a combat arena that focuses on one type of combatant enemy: Vex, Fallen, Cabal, and Hive. Then, as you progress through, you take out all of the enemies and do the gameplay within one of those quadrants. You then progress on to the next, and the next, and the next, and it gets more challenging as you go. We also throw in these things we call critical objectives, which throw a little twist into the gameplay. You might have to defend an area, or capture a point. There's a VIP that can spawn that you have to take out, and if you fail at any of these objectives, you wipe and have to restart the round. So, you're progressing through, and you don't know each time you play exactly which combination of elements you're going to get. There are also a set of modifiers in there which change the gameplay dynamics. It might change the way your shield recharges, or buff your melee attack, and again, all of that's randomized every time you play. And then, once you finish the first 4 rounds, you get a boss round where one of the quadrants opens and you get to fight a unique boss. So that's the match-made version. The non-match-made version is at a higher level of difficulty, and rather than being randomized, we specifically curate which each round is going to be in terms of the combatants, in terms of the modifiers, in terms of the critical objectives, and then at the end you get a unique boss just for that challenge, which has its own custom-made mechanics that you sort of have to puzzle out and figure out how to take the boss down. We're always developing new types of activities. With House of Wolves, as we introduce the prison, it's going to be very interesting to see how players react to it. Certainly, we're always listening to community feedback, and any piece of content, any type of activity that players absolutely love, we're going to want to make more of it.
They are dead. You are